So in this video I'm going to be making the case for why I think Manchester United should be prioritising the signings of Matheus Cunha and Victor Osimhen this summer, whilst also looking at how United and Amorim can get the best out of them individually, and how they would look collectively in a front three alongside Osimhen Cherki. So the fundamental reason why I think Liverpool have run away from everyone else in the Premier League is down to the quality of their forwards in terms of pure output, with Mohamed Salah being the obvious example. And so my fairly obvious theory is that if you have elite level goal creators and scorers in the forward line, if you can accompany this with an organised defensive shape, this can pretty much rapidly transform you into one of the best sides in the league. If United could sell Rashford, Sancho and Antony for around £80 to £90 million combined, same with Højlund and Garnacho, then to me the best value for money signings would actually be the expensive ones, Matheus Cunha and Victor Osimhen, and that's because I think these two have the quality to win you games you don't deserve to. But before I carry on with the analysis, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to dragonjersey.com. They sent me over one of their retro shirts, this Manchester United 2006-2007 long sleeved home shirt with Ronaldo's 7 on the back, which may be my favourite jersey of all time, with Ronaldo's performance that season making it even more iconic. They've also got other retro and current season jerseys available, and depending on where you live you can get 7 to 12 day delivery time. If you use code Atlantis at checkout you will get a discount for a limited time, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comment section below. See, I do like Ruben Amorim's defensive shape in deeper areas of the pitch, with the back five providing sufficient amount of coverage across the back line to deal with threats of players in the half spaces as well as quick switches of play, whilst a midfield double pivot and the front three in recent games have been very good at remaining compact, with the wide midfielders in the shape, Bruno Fernandes and Garnacho, in the recent games against Lyon, alongside Mason Mount when he comes on, are very diligent when it comes to getting back tight to the central midfielder on their inside, cutting passing lanes into players in the half space, and so this defensive setup makes it very hard for the opposition to play through the centre of the pitch. Against Lyon in the Europa League, Onana was at fault for the 2 goals in the first leg, and I think Yoro and Dogu's inexperienced positioning and defensive instincts inside of the box were at fault for a few of the goals in the second leg, and so United aren't really conceding that many goals when it comes to tactical errors in the actual system. It's more down to individual errors stemming from United not taking their chances and killing off the game. However, I do think both Yoro and Dogu will improve in these areas, and with De Ligt coming back as well, going into next season I'm pretty confident that Amorim can set up a defensive system that can compete with the best in the league. In games where we aren't able to control possession, we have to drop off and be comfortable sitting deep, I think this defensive shape suits us, knowing that on the counter we probably have the best ball carrier through the centre of the pitch in the league in Matheus Cunha, and the centre forward who's arguably the best channel runner and the biggest aerial threat inside of the box for a forward in Victor Osimhen. If you use Bruno Fernandes in the front three alongside them from the right hand side, he can roam into central and deeper positions, whilst Cunha and Osimhen can look to break in behind, allowing Bruno to play a similar kind of role to the one we saw Ozil play for Jose Mourinho at Real Madrid, out of possession sitting central and in a position advanced enough from where when there is a turnover and the ball is won back, he can quickly move into space behind the opposition stretched midfield line, receive a pass to feet and then immediately look for the runners in behind, which in Bruno Fernandes' case for United next season would be Victor Osimhen and Matheus Cunha. And with Osimhen and Cunha in the side, I think the quickest way to the title is to play to their strengths, but how can United do this in the transfer window and how can Amorim do this tactically? Well, before I break that down, a quick reminder, I do have a Patreon where you can read my articles and get access to my in-game Instagram group chat. I'll leave it linked in the eye above, description and comment section below, and on the end screen after the video. So playing to Victor Osimhen's strengths to me is pretty simple, get him isolated against the defender either central or out wide, around the halfway line, and then look to use long direct balls from build up into his head or chest, or in behind down the channel for him to run onto. And then in the final third, in order to maximise his aerial output, United need a crossing specialist. Dalot is a decent crosser, and I think he would improve significantly with a target man like Osimhen in the box, but someone like Dwight McNeil is levels above. And so selling Dalot, as much as I do rate him, to sign McNeil seems like a deal worth doing, as just imagine McNeil's crossing from deep, outswinging on the left and in-swinging from the right, alongside Victor Osimhen's aerial ability inside of the box. throw Maguire in the box when we need a goal, and we surely just probability-wise have significantly improved our chances of getting a header or any shot on goal, let alone scoring from one of those chances. With Cunha, I think you really have to give him the freedom to play, and what I mean by this is that when there is a turnover in United's half and Cunha receives a ball, rather than instructing him to primarily look to keep possession, as we have seen Pep do with both Bernardo Silva and Jack Grealish, I think you need to encourage Cunha to take the ball on his own and drive forward into the space. And Cunha actually reminds me of Osimhen Cherki. In a previous video I compared him to Kaká. I'll leave that linked in the eye above in case you do want to check it out. But thinking about it again, he actually does resemble Shevchenko a lot more, particularly aesthetically, in terms of being rapid, a strong runner with the ball, someone who is able to carry the ball up the pitch like kids do. The tenacity and aggression to be able to win loose balls, scrapping in challenges, but rather than just moving the ball on when they have possession, Cunha, like Shevchenko, can drive the attack forward on his own. And we've seen with Mbappe and Vinicius over the years how hugely valuable this can be, particularly in big games where United are struggling to knit play together and progress the ball via shorter passing sequences through the centre of the pitch. Give Cunha the ball, and like with Ronaldo in that Manchester United team from about 2005 onwards, he can drag the side up the pitch, allowing us to then exploit the space ahead, potentially creating a goal scoring opportunity, or at the very least allowing us to gain territory and control of the game, forcing the opposition backwards into their defensive third. Now, when in the opposition's half, like we've seen with Bruno Fernandes recently, give Cunha the freedom to roam, looking to float around, drop into pockets where he can receive the ball and turn, and run directly at the centre-backs. But what I really love about Cunha in this left-sided interior forward role is that he offers so much. If he's not sitting between the lines looking to receive the ball in behind the midfield, he can instead look to take advantage of the facilitating runs from either Osimhen or Cherki. If Osimhen pulls wide looking to run the channel, this is going to pull a centre-back out of the back line, vacating space in the centre, giving Cunha a greater amount of space to run off the centre-back and full-back, looking to break into a goal-scoring position himself. But I think Cunha would also work pretty well, if not better, with Cherki. As in the Cherki analysis video which I released the other day, I showed an example of Eriksen making a run ahead of Cherki from deep, between the Newcastle right back and centre back, but despite an immaculate through ball from Cherki, Eriksen didn't have the pace to get on the end of it, let alone get into a shooting position. However, if you put Cunha in Eriksen's place for this move, he has the pace not just to get on the end of the pass, but also to race through and finish from the 1v1 opportunity. I think the best tactic going into summer for United is to focus the majority of the budget on increasing the individual current ability of the front line, not potential ability, current ability that can be seen from next season. Rashford, Antony and Sancho, let's say we bring in even £75 million, plus Garnacho and Højlund bringing in at least £75 million combined. With that being on the low end of the valuation, Osimhen and Cunha together would cost £120 million, with both players having release clauses that United could trigger as soon as the window opens, and then with the remaining £30 million, you only need £20 to £25 million of that to spend on Ray and Cherki. Even if we don't make any other signings, just put Osimhen, Cunha and Cherki into that side, with Ahmad coming back at right wing back, and I think we have a side that can at least compete for third or fourth. Osimhen, Cunha and Cherki is a ridiculous front three. Genuinely, I think all three players have the ability to become world class, and stylistically I think they would perfectly suit a narrow front three. And to be honest, Cherki wouldn't even have to be used from the start. You could use Bruno Fernandes on the right side of the front three, where he showed how good he can be in the first half against Lyon, and then if United are chasing the game in the second half, bring off one of the midfield double pivot for Cherki and drop Bruno Fernandes deeper. You can then take off Dorgu for McNeil as a more offensive option at left wing back and De Ligt off for Maguire at the centre of the back three. And then when United are chasing a goal, in the last 10 to 15 minutes, we've got Maguire and Osimhen as aerial targets in the box, McNeil who is a crossing specialist from the left, Ahmad from the right, Bruno Fernandes operating in a deeper playmaking position, with Cunha and Cherki the more advanced creative playmakers operating between the lines and around the box, being given the freedom to roam and influence play. I mean, if you think ahead for the next 1 to 3 or 4 seasons, I could genuinely see Cunha, Osimhen and Cherki being the front three that leads us to the title, with Bruno Fernandes, Mainu, Cherki and Mount if he ever stays fit. You've also got a lot of other options that can also play in these roles or play around them. And in terms of clutch players at the moment, I would say that Bruno, Mainu and Maguire all fall into this category to different extents, but add Cherki, Cunha, Osimhen and even Dwight McNeil as well, and you have players players who can score from distance, from a cross inside of the box, dribble past players in the final third, and progress the ball into dangerous positions. And the underlying cost is actually not that much, considering how much United could bring in from player sales. So let me know what you think of Osimhen, Cunha and even Cherki in Amorim's front three. Also, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to Jersey FIFA. You can use code Atlantis at checkout to get a 10% discount. And if you do want to sign up to my Patreon and read any of my articles or sign up for the in-game Instagram group chat, I'll leave it linked on the end screen now alongside another video.